Hello, welcome to Steph. I'm Steph. I have been around in my parents' place today doing some sewing with my mum, and it made me think about pattern hacking. I am the kind of person that likes to follow a set of rules, and it had never really occurred to me to do what a lot of people refer to as pattern hacking, and that is to hack different pieces of a pattern into another garment, kind of like Frankenstein together. So there's lots of different kinds of pattern hacking that you can do, especially changing out sleeves on different garments and kind of converting a dress into a top or something similar, or maybe you convert a top into a dress, for example. I hadn't really ever hacked that many things until Instagram started showing me a few more things like that, and it's very common in the sort of like indie sewing pattern making world. I think that it's a cool thing to be able to do, and I just wanted to let the world know that it is a possible thing. It is a thing that you can do yourself if you have enough sewing skills, which I believe so many of you have, and if you haven't developed them yet, then maybe pattern hacking is something that you can do to improve your skills. It had literally not occurred to me to do this until I saw someone else do it, so maybe I can do that for you. Sometimes I feel like when you're self-drafting things, it can be really onerous on the making of the decisions and figuring out how to put a garment together. So I think that it can be helpful if you have something that you've come up with yourself and then finish it off with a set of instructions or a set of pattern pieces that you can follow along with their set instructions. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Saturday Steph got really rambly there, so editing Steph is here to save the day. The project that I'm going to use as an example is these sleeves that I had left over from when I was making this Vogue pattern dress. I accidentally cut 2 sleeves that I didn't need. I needed more fabric. It was a disaster. Anyway, I still have heaps of this fabric left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hack the bodice of this McCall's dress to the sleeves of the Vogue dress just to make it a top. I don't want it to be a dress. I only have enough fabric for a top, so that's all it's going to be. So here I am laying out all the pattern pieces that I need from the McCall's pattern, which is the bodice front, the bodice back, the sleeve binding, the tie, and the facings for the back and the front pieces, because it's a wrap dress that it's going to become a wrap top. Pattern pieces use standardized symbols and markers to show you which part is connected to which part, and you'll often see these notches. On a sleeve piece, so this is the sleeve from the Vogue pattern, you'll see there's a single notch and a double notch. The single is for the front, the double is for the back. So you can see on the piece that I prepared earlier, the sleeves from when I fucked it up, there's a single notch on one bit and then a double notch which is on the back. And then if you look at the bodice pieces, the bodice front has the single notch on the armhole, while the bodice back piece has the double notch along the armhole. So those are the notches that we're going to connect up later on when we hack the sleeves from the Vogue pattern to the bodice of the McCall's pattern. Because I had 2 left sleeves, I couldn't easily convert one into a right sleeve, so I decided just to sort of fudge it and take a bit of the length off so that the wave that you can see along the bottom of the sleeve there is going to be kind of eliminated, and then each sleeve is kind of more similar. I just kind of got my little French curve out and started cutting. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. At this stage, I was honestly just kind of making shit up. And it wouldn't be a sewing video without a setting up the sewing machine montage. So here you are, please enjoy. Hello, I'm back. As I said, this pattern hack is about connecting a sleeve from one pattern to the bodice of another pattern. I've gone ahead and I've just prepared the bodice as per the instructions for the pattern, the McCall's pattern, which is I'm gonna make the top half of dress B. And then the sleeves that I had from the other times when I kept messing up the sleeves are the sleeves from this dress here, which is a Vogue pattern. I'll link these patterns down below. What I didn't realize at that point was that I needed to basically finish the sleeve completely Here I am doing a French seam. If you want me to do a tutorial about a French seam, let me know in the comments below and I will make one for you, I promise. Also, I'm about to jump straight into attaching the sleeves to the bodice, so brace yourselves. Basically, when you are connecting a sleeve to an armhole, you need to figure out basically if all of the things connect. If this, let's call it a circumference, the circumference of the sleeve opening is going to match up with the circumference of the armhole opening. So I don't think they're going to match up. So I'm going to have to gather this sleeve, I think. I think it is gathered anyway. But let's just have a look. Let's see. Best way to attach a sleeve to a bodice is turn the sleeve right way around. I'm going to turn the bodice inside out, but keep the sleeve right way around. Then what you do is you match up the notches or the dots or whatever it is that's on your pattern. So in this case, I've got a shoulder seam that I'm going to match up to begin with. So I'm going to pin that and find the sleeve seam. So there it is. There's my sleeve seam, and I'm going to match it up with my bodice seam. Yeah, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. All right, what you can see. So what's in the sand? That's my bodice, so that's one pattern. My sleeve is here, that's the other pattern. And you can see just on this little purple bit, there are these little notches, and they actually line up pretty close to each other when I'm pinning this all together. But because the pattern that the sleeve is from, it has a gathered top. So that means that all of this extra that's hanging out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather the top edge of the sleeves. You can see that I've got a little dot there, which I marked out obviously when I first was making this dress, the other dress. So I think those are the markings that I need to do my lines between so that I can gather and pull everything together and make the sleeve circumference gather and shrink so that it matches the bodice armhole circumference. Following? I hope so. All right, I'm gonna do some gathering, then I'm gonna do some stitching, and then I'm gonna show you what it all looks like. What a relief, editing Steph is back. Here I am just pulling all of the threads through to make the gathers. I always do 2 lines of this, never skimp on doing the second line. It makes gathering something so much easier. Once it's all gathered, pin the bodice side seam to the sleeve seam. Also find marking for the shoulder seam and then kind of distribute between the notches all of the gathers so that it's all nice and even and flat and lovely. And then stitch the sleeve to the bodice and voila, you have a lovely garment that is Frankenstein-ing 2 different patterns together. Seems easy enough, doesn't it? Good job! And of course, here is the final garment. To finish off the bottom edge, I added a bit of bias binding. I'm probably going to regret that later. I probably should have made a waistband, but at this point I was kind of over it. I also added a press stud on the inside to hold that piece that crosses under the other piece that wraps over it in place, because on the usual pattern it has a tie, but I'm not going to be able to fit a tie inside this top and have it look nice and neat. I'm very, 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 very happy with this top. I cannot wait to wear it all around because, as I said, I have that other dress that I very rarely get to wear. So this is kind of an homage to that dress and all those times that I wish I could wear it, but it just wouldn't seem very appropriate. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. Give me a subscribe. If there are other things you want to see me make, please let me know. If you want to see a tutorial for a French seam, let me know. I had a lot of fun doing this, even though it took a lot longer than I thought. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!